Hello, Tigullio Design District. My name is Gabriela Carrillo from Taller Gabriela Carrillo and Colectivo C733. Well, I think since I was a kid, I love to observe the city, and I love to spend some time walking around. I was always in love with the idea of walking through and observing everything. And also, I believe that I started to draw sections since I was 3 years old. And I love to play with Legos, which in fact is the only game that I had for my kid now that he's 7 years old. Now he believes they are very, very old Legos, of course, but I think I started there. Well, I think it was really great. I never had any problem. Unfortunately, I live in a country where machismo is an issue, and especially in our career. I believe everywhere, but especially talking about gender and architecture is something that at least a lot of men are not used to. So I was lucky with that, but I know there are big issues behind that. So I consider myself, I was lucky on that sense. Of course, I had the opportunity to enter to the Faculty of Architecture of UNAM, which for me was the best opportunity in my life, to have one of the best educations and to pay a very small amount of money and to spend my college years and my university years in this magnificent space, Patrimony of Humanity. So I think that was amazing. I could choose beyond amazing professors, and I had also the chance to start my professional life because of a special program called Vinculación en Proyectos Especiales, where I had the chance to meet and work with architects as César Pérez Becerril, Alejandro Rivadeneira, Ernesto Natarén, Felipe Leal, and Alberto Calach. And since then, I kept on working. So, and it also gave me somehow the opportunity, once I finished my school, to keep on, to be there and to teach there. So UNAM has been everything for me. It is still giving me opportunities to work in public space, like in 2019. They gave me the opportunity to do a competition to develop projects, public projects. So I think on that sense, and then I met my former partner, Mauricio Rocha, because of that. I was partner of him for 19 years. So I think everything was great. Of course, all the time fixed with complexities and things that you need to, I think, to avoid or to conquer your fears somehow. But UNAM gave me that, and on that sense, I think it was amazing. I think I'm very intuitive, and I don't know if that's a word. Soy muy intuitiva somehow. But of course, I have developed some kind of methodology along my almost 25 years of practice. So I think I can start if I hadn't been in the place where I'm gonna work. It's really important to see it from the distance. Not only the distance, I mean not just the site itself, but the complexity, the urban complexity, or the history, or the geology, or the generalities of the site, of the territory. I like to understand it a bit in the past, of course. I think I take from there a lot of inspirations, and also to the future, to understand the problems or the big issues that it has behind, because I love the idea of approaching the site from a huge and a bigger view than the one of just solving a specific program or working on the specific site. And then, of course, dealing and understanding my client, or the people, or the people who's going to be there, or who's going to inhabit the space that I'm going to design, to understand a bit more about their wills, their memory, their history. And I think with those issues behind, I can start working and I can start drawing. I think that's something that has changed a lot from my first stage in my career, is that now I spend a lot more time understanding, observing, hearing, rather than just producing. And I think that's a big change, and I think that's a way or a methodology that it's already part of my working process. Well, I think, as I mentioned, I got all these projects in the UNAM, and it was very great because there were very huge projects, and I kind of understand how to work in these interdisciplinary teams, which now it's something which is very important for me and for my practice. But I started to work with Mauricio, and he invited me to develop some projects in Milpalta, and they were very small projects, and there were two of them, which I was in charge of almost everything. One was a kindergarten, and the other one was a market. And since then, I think markets for me are one of the most important and amazing projects. I've been traveling and trying to see all the markets I can everywhere. And I had the chance to produce all the drawings, models, even to follow the construction of the project. And then on the opening, I had the chance to be with the people. Of course, all this process was dealing with the community, understanding the guy that was going to sell the chicken or the meat. And there I found out why and what was the really most important thing in my practice, you know, like to deal with these realities, which are not the ones that especially you might know, and to work with that complexity. Well, I think there is no small territory, you know, like there's no small project nor big project. I think every pretext or every project is a great pretext to work on, and it's also an opportunity to develop ideas and to understand things or the complexity of things. Right now, for example, I am developing a project which is not a small one, but on it I have to develop a small pavilion. And even though the project is very big somehow, I am being very careful and aware of this pavilion, which is very small somehow. But I am trying to discover, for example, how to produce water. And that pavilion is going to be about that. And I am really interested in develop ideas, and that later those ideas could be translated or transferred to other big-scale projects. And I think that is the way that all my practice has been somehow. For example, Hermes Pavilion, which was amazing, working with Mauricio Antó, architectos, which was this important pavilion for Hermes in the Fiera di Milan, was a piece of earth, of earth blocks, like not paste, but just with steel, like weave with the the steel. And later we developed a project for Iturbide's house, which started from there, and the lattice of that house has to do with that. So somehow all the projects are an opportunity to think, to research, and to work with ideas. Well, I think time is a huge and important input for our work, and time in all senses. You know, like the time when, as I mentioned before, when I start to work in a site, I used to see the past, and the past not from a nostalgic point of view, but more from the memory, which I consider relevant and significant to understand somehow, and to transfer some ideas to what I will be doing. And of course, future is something I am very concerned about, because I am really worried about my planet. I have a 7-year-old kid, so I'm always worried of this ignorance that we have, I think, repeat through this modernist period where we had forgot where the water comes from, or what do we do with waste, or how do we build in a conscious way, in a sensitive one. So I think also the time in the opportunity of how you discover the space, how you walk around, how the light is going to move through the spaces we design. I think that is design. So I think it's an amazing theme, and there's a lot to talk about it. Well, I hope to produce water. That's my next pavilion I'm developing. I'm not sure, but I am very excited. And I think I'm very excited because for the last years, I've been working, I have worked in a very tight and a very beautiful way with other disciplines. I had a lot of information, for example, from anthropologists, biologists, geologists, and I think that's an amazing thing, you know, like all the time we are surrounded by architects, or at the most with civil engineers, or light specialists or landscape architects. And for me, this opportunity of working in an interdisciplinary scenario has a new way of seeing things, other voices, other eyes, and I think my next work will be very near from that. And I'm also with a new idea of understanding that most of the times our job doesn't need a lot of square meters constructed, you know, like sometimes you need to get back and to analyze deeply what we need to do, and sometimes the result shouldn't be square meters built. So I think you will see less square meters and a lot more research behind what I do. Well, I think, well, for me a big suggestion will be always to conquer the fears, because fears are at the same time something that push you, but at the same time that might keep you in a very comfort zone area. And I'm against that. I believe that we should keep moving, and that's an opportunity to reinvent ourselves somehow. I will also suggest the idea of being more concerned about time. I had read, and I had like almost a very important book besides me, which is a book from Concheiro, a philosopher, a Mexican one, that talks that time is creepy, and that today media and images are flowing so quick, and we had forgotten the importance of timeless and this idea of staying still. And in his suggestion, he says that instants are easy spots, because is that there are good ways to fight against time, the velocity. And I love that idea because he says that instants are abstract, they are timeless, and you can achieve them easily, maybe just reading, spending some time doing something you love and you feel passionate about, and I think that is something important for our job. Well, thank you to Tigullio Design District for this interview. I am very happy to be part of it, and thank you for all of you hearing this interview as well. Bye.